Today we're making spicy chicken sandwiches that can rival anything they will serve you at Chick-fil-A. The best part about these sandwiches, they're made in the air fryer to cut back on calories, and you can keep the cutlets inside of Snack City to have a quick lunch whenever you need it. A toasted mayo slathered bun, dill pickles, fresh tomato and lettuce, and a fat piece of chicken are the components of this sandwich. Here's how you make it. Into a large bowl, add 125 grams of ground corn chex, 6 grams of cayenne pepper, 4 grams of paprika, 4 grams of garlic powder, 4 grams of onion powder, and then a sprinkle of salt on top. Stir that to combine. This is what we will use for our breading mixture. This will make about 3 pounds or 8 pieces of chicken. You don't have to use the seasoned ground corn chex. If you wanted to use a breadcrumb, that would work just as well. The next step is to prepare your egg mixture. Crack a couple of eggs into a dish and add in 45 grams of the hot sauce of your choice. The hot sauce that I like to use for this recipe is Louisiana hot sauce, Tabasco, Cholula, anything of the likes will be alright. Scramble that mixture up until it is smooth. Whenever I write recipes like this, I try to make them as accessible to as many people as possible, so oftentimes that means not making them as spicy as many of you would like. If you are somebody who likes to have a lot of heat in your food, either add more hot sauce or add a different kind of hot sauce that has more spice to it. For the chicken, we are going to use boneless, skinless chicken breasts, trim away any fat that's on the outside, and then make a cut so that you have 2 equally weighted pieces. Keep in mind that there's a fat side and a skinny side to your chicken breast. Your cut is probably going to have to be closer to that fat side in order to get these to be equal weights. Once you've made all your cuts, we're going to pound each piece of chicken so that it is of even thickness throughout. So take a piece of plastic wrap, put a piece of chicken inside, and using either a meat tenderizer or your fist like me, pound it so it is of even thickness throughout. Those fatter pieces of chicken that came from the thicker end of the breast are likely going to take a bit more work to flatten out. And if you're going to use your fist, try to be careful not to get too much knuckle in there. You can put a hole through the chicken and we don't want that. Using your palm instead of your fist will help to prevent any unnecessary damage to the chicken, but it does make it harder to flatten out. So just be careful if you're going to use your fist. Try not to hit it with the bony knuckles. Again, this can all be solved by just using a meat tenderizer or even a heavy skillet to flatten these out, but because I used my fist in the video, I know many of you will try it, so I just have to put those notes in there. Season both sides lightly with salt and pepper, and then we're going to be ready for the breading process. Create your breading station by getting your seasoned ground corn chex and your egg wash next to each other. Each piece of chicken is going to get dunked into the egg wash. Coat it completely to make sure that all sides are covered. Drain off any excess and place that into the corn chex. It's also good to note that keeping one hand designated as your wet hand and one hand designated as your dry hand will help to keep things cleaner and make things move more smoothly. So try to only use one hand to dunk that chicken into the egg wash, and then you can use the other hand to sprinkle the corn chex over the top of that piece of chicken. The method I like to use is to put the piece of chicken into a large bowl and then kind of shake it around to get all sides, and then I can use that dry hand and cover up any bald spots that I have on my piece of chicken. Finish the breading process by repeating those steps on the remaining pieces of chicken. I think it's good practice to have a sheet pan nearby as a place that you can store all of the breaded pieces of chicken. Now, for storage purposes for Snack City, I like to cook my chicken all the way through before I put it in the freezer. You could probably put these breaded chicken cutlets into the freezer raw, and that way you'd only have to cook them once. I like to cook all my food first though, just for peace of mind and safety purposes. So to cook the chicken, we are going to use the air fryer. Place a couple pieces of those chicken cutlets down in the bottom of the basket and spray the tops with a bit of oil. Make sure you don't put too much chicken in. We don't want to overcrowd the basket. We're going to air fry these pieces at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 4 to 5 minutes on each side. Once it's halfway through cooking, pull the basket from that air fryer, turn those pieces of chicken over, and spray that other side with a bit of oil. Return them back to the air fryer for another 4 to 5 minutes. The chicken has finished cooking once it reaches an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit. While the chicken is cooking, you should take that time to prepare your toppings and your bun. Wash and cut a large tomato into slices. Try to get the biggest tomato that you can find at the store. We want the tomato slice to cover the entire piece of chicken and the bun. Speaking of the bun, it's a good idea to toast the bun to give yourself a little bit of crust and protect from any leakage from the tomatoes to prevent a soggy bun. Unfortunately, I didn't film the toasting process, but all you need to do is spread a little bit of butter or mayo on that bun, put it into a hot pan until it turns golden brown like we have here. So each side of the bun gets a little squeeze of mayo, spread that out over the top, and then we can begin the construction process of our sandwich. The first layer is a washed piece of fresh romaine lettuce. On top of that lettuce goes one of our chicken cutlets. On top of the chicken cutlet, we put a slice of tomato, and then on top of the tomato, we put as many dill pickles as our heart desires. Cap off the sandwich with the top side of the bun, and all there's left to do is enjoy. The full recipe that I've included in the description below is for 8 sandwiches. Each sandwich has about 492 calories and 44 grams of protein each. If you decided to make a large batch of these to store inside of Snack City, the way that I recommend storing them is to allow them to cool to room temperature, place them into a large Ziploc bag, remove as much air as possible, and then put them in your freezer. To reheat, you just air fry at 400 degrees until they're hot, probably about 5 to 7 minutes. The full written recipe is included in the description or on my website, mealprepmanual.com. See you next week.